At the bottom of the deepest oceanic trench, you'll find an animal that's worth writing home about. The sea pen is a feathery friend with multiple personalities and a penchant for puffing itself up when the coast is clear. But when slow-moving danger is around every corner, you have to be ready to retreat here in Life, Death, and Taxonomy.
Welcome back to Life, Death, and Taxonomy. It's your 30 minutes of interesting animal info. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
Thank you to Cassie for the creation of our theme song. To hear more of Cassie's music, please search Cassie Michelle on YouTube.
And thank you to Brian for the creation of this week's episode artwork. To check that out, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter at LD Taxonomy or visit us at ldtaxonomy.com.
And today we're talking about the plume in the room, but more on that later.
Room plume.
You ever have that one of those moments where something is in your muscle memory or just your unconscious memory, and as soon as something like messes with it, you're forced to remember it consciously and it's gone? Like, you don't have it in there.
You're gonna have to provide me with an example.
Well, in this particular case, I forgot how I start the show, because I always start the show in the same way, and it's just like I don't even think about it. And then I messed it up because I maxed out the audio. So then I had to think about it. And then I'm like, wait, what do I say? Do I say the 30 minutes thing?
Yeah, you don't. It's you get the yips.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the yips. That's what athletes call it.
When you start thinking about something that you do naturally, and then you become bad at it.
Yep.
I'm glad that doesn't happen with like breathing and blinking and stuff.
Yeah, that's autonomic nervous system. That's different.
Because I'm like really good at it, and it wouldn't be very good if whenever I thought about it, I became bad at it.
You're probably not really good at it.
I mean, I've been
as good as average at it.
I've been doing it for a while.
But that makes you average. Because everyone does it.
That doesn't mean I'm not. That everyone's good at it. Then that doesn't mean I'm not good.
Escape artists, singers.
I didn't say I was above average. I just said I'm good at it.
Are probably really good at it.
No, they're above average. We're all good at it.
Gotcha.
If you can do something in your sleep, you're good at it.
10,000 hours. We're experts.
Exactly. We're masters. But what are we talking about? We're not talking about lungs.
We're talking about seeping.
Excuse me? This is a children's program.
Just seeping out of the seams. We're talking about the sea pen.
Oh, okay. Now I see. Yeah, the sea pen. But we're also going to call it here. This one's from Brian, because like I said, he when he sends over the artwork, he often puts in a fun little nickname that I can steal, and he just called it Sean Penn.
Okay.
Because all you
just
have to do is
one N. Two N's.
You
right?
need to add an N to both names. And then I looked up Sean Penn movies and realized that I have never in my life seen one with him in it.
You've never seen like Rain Man?
Oh, is he in that movie?
He's Rain Man.
No, that's Dustin Hoffman.
Is Sean Penn not Dustin Hoffman?
No, they're not this. They're not Skrull morphing aliens. They're two different people.
Wait, Skrull morphing aliens?
Yeah, in the Captain Marvel, the Skrull are the aliens that can just turn into anybody.
Yeah, but who do you think? Either Sean Penn or Dustin Hoffman?
They're one Skrull alien named Glorgax, and they can. And sometimes he takes the form of Dustin Hoffman when he wants to win an Oscar, and sometimes he takes the form of Sean Penn when he.
Oh, doesn't. I see. I thought you were saying that one of those two actors were in that movie.
No. Well, yes, one of those two actors is in Rain Man. Anyway, I've never seen a movie with Sean Penn in it, but after doing a little bit of research on him for some reason, I found out that he was in a movie called The Falcon and the Snowman. So I think that they have grounds to sue Marvel on their new TV show. We're just gonna call the Winter Soldier the Snowman going forward. I think it'll take a lot of the like seriousness out of the sales of those movies. It's Iron Man versus Captain America and the Snowman. Anywho,
Oh my gosh! So these two men, as you would say, are in the same genre of person. I would say, but in terms of looks, and apparently Sean Penn played a similar role in I Am Sam in the movie 2001 as Rain Man. So that my brain just broke again in the same episode.
I can get behind the fact that they're the same genre of person.
They're both rocking that like 90s 2000s haircut.
They have strong hook noses and
Yeah.
terse mouths and strong. Well, Sean Penn's kind of got a stronger jawline. Anyway, because he's younger. So yes, Brian called this the C Pen, this Sean Penn. We're gonna call it here Marion the Nidarian Librarian.
Nice.
Because it's a pen, and that's a reference to Music Man. Yeah, that's what it was. And we're also gonna call it Scribble Snacks. If
Isn't that a cat from Cats?
Really?
No, it's Skimble Shanks.
I've never seen it, and I probably won't because I've been told all I need to know about it. But yeah, although if I had a cat, I guess I'd call it Scribble Snacks. Doesn't matter what you name a cat. It's just Jellicle.
Would you like to hear what science has to say about this thing?
Yeah, sure.
It's in the kingdom you know, love, and live within. The kingdom Animalia. It's in the phylum Nidaria. It's a Nidarian.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the class Anthozoa.
I just imagine that this C Pen uses its pen powers to send you an email as an Nidarian prince to get money.
Pretty good. It's in the order Penatulaceae. Do you think that just might be C at the end? Penatulaceae?
Penatulacea?
Penatulacea. Yeah, it's probably two. You can probably pronounce both those vowels. And then the family is Penatulidae. Penatulidae.
Mm-hmm.
And then the genus is Penatella. And then the species is Phosphorophore. So with all these pen words, yeah, all the way back to the order, everything in the order is called C pens.
I'm pretty sure it's Phosphoria, isn't it?
Phosphoria. Pennatula phosphoria.
Yeah, okay. Yep, Pennatula phosphoria, which brings us to my favorite part of the show, since we're in the business of naming things, nitty-gritty nomenclature. Turns out there's no collective noun for these animals. They're actually relatively understudied, so they're learning to.
So there's somebody
become,
who has.
They're learning to become better actors,
right? Just in case the main guy goes away.
Yes, goes away. Like an actual pen. They want to fill in for a real pen or Sean Penn. These are all just understudies of Sean Penn. So if he's ever not available on set, they just use one of these to film the B-roll. But yes, we're doing nitty-gritty nomenclature, and we've got the binomial nomenclature Pennatula phosphoria. So, Joe, what does that mean? Does it mean A, shining feathered wings, B, ancient water stalk, C, glowing pseudo-coral, or D, tentacle lights, which is my favorite Owl City song.
Run those by me again. Pseudo, isn't that Latin? It would be in there.
Unless this is Greek.
Phosphoria could be Greek. I'm going to go with the last one.
Tentacle lights?
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Incorrect.
Was it C?
No.
Oh,
You want to guess again?
No, that's good. As long as it's not between the two things I'm oscillating between.
Okay. Yes. The answer was shining feathered wings. Phosphorescent.
Phosphorescence, I guess, is shininess, right?
Shining, glowing light. It's heatless light, basically. And the pennate for the Pennatula is feathered wings. That's why it is present in the entire order.
Okay, let's describe this thing.
Sure.
The C pen is so named because it sort of looks like a feather pen. Even though C pen is a name used all the way up to the order, and there's a ton of species that don't look anything like a feather pen.
Well, there are 200 species total, but I picked one that definitely looks like a feathered pen. But really, the major fact is about C pens in general. So
the feathers are actually tentacle-like appendages. A smooth bulb anchors the C pen in the sediment, and a stalk rises and curls like a fancy quill. The bulb is also called a peduncle, which is a fun word.
Is it fun? I don't like it.
Yeah, it could also, be not fun.
It sounds not fun to me.
Duncle is funny.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's just like your
Uncle Dave. He's your dunkle.
Either that or your uncle is a NBA center.
Yes.
And he dunks.
Branches from the quill have tentacles that give the organism a feathery appearance. So that's why it looks like a feather plume. And they come in a variety of colors, from cream to pink. But I've seen mostly...
That's not that big of a range.
Yeah, most of what I skipped over a word I wrote. Light colors. They're usually shades of light colors.
It's a wide range of colors from orange to red.
Pink is definitely different than cream.
It's different. But it's just like you move a slider up and then suddenly you're at pink.
Yeah, it doesn't come in.
If you have cream
brown.
and you up the red slider, you have pink.
But that brings us to the beloved Measure Up segment. And since you've taken to correcting my color range, you will be destroyed in this Measure Up.
Oh, were you not planning on destroying me? Was there a nicer, gentler Measure Up in the chamber? No,
God had ordained such things to pass, and it was always going to be this way. The official listener's favorite part of the show, the part of the show when we present the animal size and dimensions in relatable terms through a quiz that's fun for the whole family. It's introduced by you when you send an audio of yourself saying, singing, or chittering the words Measure Up into ldtaxonomy@gmail.com. We do have a new Measure Up intro this week from our friend Calvin. So we continue the embarrassment of riches that is the next few weeks in terms of having Measure Ups, but don't let that fool you. It can run out quickly, so send in your Measure Ups.
The Measure Up bounty that we've our cup overfloweth.
Yes. Do you accrue good things?
Yeah.
There's a word for like when earning money, and then there's a word for like accumulating money that you owe. And one's accrue and one is something else.
I don't know. You accrue lots of stuff like interest and PTO and Chick-fil-A sauce.
Without further ado, the listener's favorite part of the show.
Measure up. I'm done.
Oh, I didn't hear the last one.
I think you said all done, or I'm done.
I'm done, yeah.
You did good, Calvin.
Thanks, Calvin. That was great.
That was very good. Just succinct, and he got in there. He got it done. He got out. That's all we need.
Just said Measure Up, I'm done, and then hit send, and we're good. We're golden.
So let's talk about so these things can come in a wide variety of lengths and sizes. So
Is it a wider variety than the colors?
much, well,
Is it from 3.1 feet to 3.3 feet?
it's hard to quantify a variety of colors because it's a continuum. But let's talk about the length at sexual maturity,
Sure. I'm always down to talk about that.
which is like by most metrics when you go from adolescence to being adult in the animal kingdom. So this is a full-grown
Sean Penn.
a Sean Penn, 55 to 90 millimeters. 90 millimeters is around 3 inches. So how many sea pens go into the length of the longest feather ever recorded?
Oh, wow. That's probably like a condor or an ostrich's feather.
Well, actually, yeah. Do you want to make a guess as to what it is?
I'm going to go with one of those two things.
Condor or ostrich? I can tell you already that a peacock has got longer feather than those.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
They can be like 6 feet, but it's not a peacock.
I thought I knew one that had like a super long tail, but I can't remember what it's called.
So here's your hint. According to Guinness, the longest feather ever recorded was documented in 1972 in Kochi, Shigoku, Japan. The feather belonged to a phoenix fowl, which sounds awesome, but it is also called a Yokohama chicken.
That sounds less awesome.
It's a rooster. It's a big rooster.
Both of them sound like Japanese folklore demons.
It's actually a domesticated wild, like forest fowl, which is, I guess, what chickens are technically. But yeah, it's a big old. It's a chicken with a really, really, really long tail.
All right, I'm going to say 30.
30 sepins. Final answer.
Yeah.
The correct answer is 117.7.
Oh my goodness.
The feather was 10.6 meters or 34 feet and 9 inches.
34 feet.
Yeah. You can look up a picture of a phoenix fowl and you can see him standing on like what looks like a 5 foot like pedestal and his tail's touching the ground. And the longest one was in 1972. I couldn't find a picture of it.
I am looking at this. It looks like a regular chicken, right?
Yeah.
And it's just got like Rapunzel level
Proportions in terms
growth.
of tail, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I would have never come to this conclusion.
That's how you make novelty pens in the like 1700s.
Looks kind of nasty. Looks like it smells bad. But it's a chicken, so it almost by default smells bad.
Well, every animal on a farm smells bad.
Does it?
Because farms smell bad. They're soaking in all that farm air.
Chickens smell particularly bad, though. If you've ever been in one of those like massive chicken coops, like the one Napoleon Dynamite works in for all of a day.
I think if you grouped any animal that poops in such large quantities in a small area, it's going to smell bad.
Sure, I guess.
So let's talk about living depth. And here's where you will be smote. So they live like 6,100 meters or 3.7 miles at the deepest, but they can live in a wide variety of depths from cream to pink.
Variety.
So how many sea pen living depths would go into the length of RNA needed to vaccinate the entire world? So RNA, like if all of the strands of RNA were linked end to end.
All I can think of right now is the professor from Futurama talking about DNA and robo or RNA. He's talking about robots.
I thought you were gonna say you were just thinking about him and saying I don't want to live on this planet anymore. So here's a hint. This came from the subreddit r/they did the math, which I found because we're mentioned in the comments for our measurement-based assault on mathematics.
Is this a calculated assault? Is this a calculated strike on math itself? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah,
I'm down with it.
I feel like we're actually playing right into math's hands by engaging in math. I don't think you can smite math by doing math.
By doing... Is the only way to beat it to...
Divide by 0?
To avoid it entirely? Because so far, outside of this podcast, I do a pretty good job of it.
So thanks to listener Jessica for emailing and to let us know that we're mentioned on at least one corner of Reddit.
I'm glad Reddit knows that we're here. And that we're... our mortal enemy is math, and we won't sleep until nobody does it anymore.
And we'll accomplish that goal by doing math.
Yes, that's the plan. I don't know, because this is not a concept that is in my brain. Like, the amount of RNA needed to do anything is not a concept that's in my brain. So this is just unit of length. 3.7 miles, you said?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like someone mentioned this to me actually recently, and I think I remember being like, oh, that's not as much as I thought. It would be. You think it'd be one of those things where it's like it could wrap around the world 17 times.
Well, are you sure you're not thinking of like the amount of DNA in a human body?
No, it had specifically had to do with the vaccine. I don't know. To vaccinate every single person in the world, so what, like something like 7 billion people? 6.3 billion people? You don't need a lot to vaccinate. But it's at least 6.3 billion something. Maybe it takes a millimeter to vaccinate. So we were dealing with 6.3 billion millimeters. How many meters did you say? 6,000?
6,100 meters.
The answer is 10,327.86885245902. But I'm just ballparking here.
Final answer?
10,300. We'll say that.
Depths?
Yes.
Well, like Thor and Oakenshield, you have never been so wrong in all your life. You've never been so ashamed.
Have I never been... Okay, go ahead. Lay it on us.
You might have been more
I can't
wrong.
possibly have been more wrong than with the teaspoon of a neutron star one.
Maybe you were more wrong then. But the correct answer is 49,695,400,000 depths.
That's potentially that this is the most wrong I've been.
It would take 296 trillion kilometers or 31 light years of RNA.
How much for one person?
I don't know. Less than that.
I said 1 millimeter. Clearly.
Well, whatever that number divided by the amount of people that is. But yeah, you could get to the closest star in our galaxy riding on this RNA strand.
The closest...
You could zip line on this RNA strand to Alpha Centauri.
That's... Dang. Wow, that was fun.
So whoever told you that it was less impressive was wrong.
It must have been something else that went in one ear and out the other.
Okay. So,
oh my goodness. Well, that was...
That's what you get for making fun of my color spectrum analysis.
Look, you picked cream. It's not even white. That's white leaning in the direction of pink.
It's a continuum. There could be millions of colors between cream and pink.
That's true, but...
There's probably millions of colors between white and cream.
Just... Yeah, there's eggshell. I can't think of any others, but I'm sure there's more than just that.
Would you like to know some fast facts and leave this measure up behind you?
Yeah, let's just move on.
All right.
Do something else for a little bit.
So those sea pens look like plants, like we mentioned. They live down where there are no plants. You know, they can survive down there because they're animals and they don't need sunlight. So they can live in shallow reef areas as well, but also deep intertidal abysses, 3 miles deep. So, like all kinds of they live in all kinds of regions, but prefer tropical and temperate water. And the entire order of Penatulaceae,
Penatulaceae?
yeah, are called sea pens, but only members of the Subcelliflorae.
Yeah.
What
Subcelliflorae? That makes sense.
Yeah, only they really look like feather pens.
Yeah, I think you skipped over the suborder in the taxonomy. So yeah,
have.
that's a suborder, Subcelliflorae.
But others can be found in fanciful shapes from feather dusters to peacock plumes. Is that a wide enough range for you?
Yeah. It's acceptable.
All very feathery looking because of these tentacles. But the fully unfurled plume is actually full of water, and it can be deflated like a broken arm flailing inflatable tube man. When there's danger around, the pen will expel water to shrink down into the sand. Like a sad little, empty balloon.
Yeah. That, it can sometimes happen quickly, but sometimes it takes up to 4 hours.
Yeah. So I got bumped by a sea slug. Better start the defense mechanism process.
I mean, if your predator is a sea slug, you might have a little bit more time than usual.
I saw a time lapse of a sea slug bumping into one, and then just minutes later it was deflated. Bumping into one and then leaving forever.
Yeah, I don't know why I was like, oh, a predator has shown up, and it touched it, and then it left. Okay, great predator work.
Neither does science really, but one it could be that there are just a gaggle of sea slugs around, and one bumps into you, so you're like, oh, let's keep a low profile for the next 4 hours, because there's bad guys in the area.
This one took one bite, and I don't want any more bites.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave.
So the members of this particular genus have several bioluminescent species, which makes it even more phosphorescent. But some species of sea pens can actually use barbed nematocytes or nematocysts to sting and harpoon their prey.
Yeah, like a jellyfish. The other famous cnidarian.
So yeah, everything you'd want in a weird little looks like a plant animal in the ocean can be true of this guy. Glows in the dark, stings with horrible harpoons. Good stuff. Deflates.
Yeah. It glows when it's touched too. So apparently that's supposed to stun and bewilder slugs and starfish that would otherwise eat it. Overwhelm those eye spots.
When we went on a bioluminescent kayaking tour, the tour guide was talking about why they do this and how they do it, and this is not the things that were glowing where we were not this, but there were things that glow in the water, and he was just like, we don't actually know why they do this, but all I can think of is if you're sitting down to eat a cheeseburger and it starts glowing, you're not going to eat it. I'm like, can't argue with that logic.
Is that what? I mean, it's plankton or zooplankton, right? Those dinoflagellates. So I feel like anything that would eat them is probably fine with it glowing. There's just so many of them that
it might just freak another theory is that they glow to attract other predators to their predators, which is true. A bold strategy.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to do that bioluminescent tour on a really good night, when the bioluminescence is particularly James Cameron-esque, you can actually see the shapes of animal or fish and manatees and porpoises moving through them. So I imagine if it's like, hey, look, there's definitely a fish under there in the middle of the night, and then if the fish is eating the dinoflagellates, then a shark can eat the fish, and the plankton's left alone. But the sea pen, because the sea pen lives at the bottom of the ocean, and it's pitch black. And I imagine that like a sea slug that's just kind of feeling its way around in the middle of the night because it has to go to the bathroom, and then suddenly turns on the bathroom light. It's just like, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm sorry. It just hurts. So yeah, I can see that being definitely something that would stun and disorient something that lives its entire life at the bottom of the ocean.
Very true. But that's all I got for fast facts.
I've got 2 extra fast facts. One is that the tallest sea pens can get up to be about 6.5 feet long. And also that they are theorized to potentially be able to live for more than a century.
Ooh.
And the reason for that is coming up with the major fact, which I didn't name. I don't have a name for it.
We are Legion?
We are Legion. There we go.
Legionnaires? Centurions?
It's
Sea Centurions?
Sea Centurion. No, I like We Are Legion. That's a good one. Major fact is We Are Legion. The sea pens at the bottom of the ocean are possessed by a multitude of demons. That's a major fact. Did you know that? They are actually the remnants of the pigs that Legion was driven into, and they went to the bottom of the, I guess what was probably the Sea of Galilee, and then somehow found their way out of a landlocked sea into the bottom of the ocean, and now there's sea pens.
Good.
So for you out there in podcasts, yeah, I'm just kidding. So I was initially going to talk about the fact that the sea pen is one of the only non-extinct animal with glide reflection symmetry. But as I looked into that, it turns out it involves Euclidean geometry. So I didn't want to try and explain it. But basically, it means that the pen is symmetrical, but slightly askew. So it's not symmetrical at all. But it could be if it wasn't askew. I'm not sure why that's interesting, but it is. Basically, if you have like footprints, if they were all perfectly spaced out, would be an example of glide reflection symmetry. Like it's identical on both sides, but one is it's staggered. There we go. Staggered symmetry. But yeah, okay, that would also doesn't make a great major fact. But so instead of talking about Euclidean geometry, let's talk about polyps. My favorite word. Up there with peduncle. So you may have noticed, actually you didn't notice, because you didn't mention it, the subclass is Octocoralia, which is the subclass of octocorals. So the sea pen has more in common with coral than most other things. So rather than being one single organism, it's one animal, I guess, if you want to call it that, but it's actually made up of several different organisms. So, which is why we named it We Are Legion. So each polyp is basically a tiny jellyfish octopus. It's a cnidarian with 8 tentacles that all come together, even though I know octopuses, they have arms, not tentacles. I get it. But there's 8 of them, so that's why it's there. And so they all come together to form this single animal. And so what will happen is the first polyp, well, we can go through the whole life cycle. When they reach sexual maturity, sea pens will release sperm and egg into the water, which will combine and form a small, free-swimming little creature that can't eat, but within sometimes a few hours or sometimes a week, it will develop into a polyp, and which is this 8-tentacled little jellyfish thing. And so one polyp will lose its tentacles and kind of morph into the tree trunk, the center part of the pen. And it'll develop this large root at the bottom, which is the peduncle, and it'll anchor itself to the substrate, which is just a fancy word of saying the sea floor, whether it's mud or sand or sometimes rock. Mostly mud or sand for reasons I'll get into in a bit. And specifically, so it'll start to bud after that, like coral tends to do. But the other polyps that bud from it will, rather than also becoming the trunk, will become other parts of the sea pen that you see at the end. So they'll each specialize in a different function, kind of like pluripotent cells. Like, you have a cell that could be anything, and it turns into a bone cell or a blood cell or a neuron or something like that. But instead it's on a much bigger scale with these polyps. So some polyps develop into gills and do respiratory things. Some polyps develop into stomachs, kind of like a rudimentary stomach. Some develop into the fan tentacles, some to catch food. Some and others become the reproductive organs. So each one, the gills know what the rudimentary stomachs are doing. They're each is a part of the body. It's kind of like a more advanced version of like 3 kids wearing a big trench coat to get into a PG-13 movie. Except they're not all doing the same thing. So, yeah, that's basically what makes up one of these guys. And once it finishes and becomes the full sea pen and reaches sexual maturity, it'll start the process all over again. And despite there not being a collective noun, they do often end up together just by nature of their reproductive method, which is just like seeding the water around them. But yeah, they end up forming this full colony. And yeah, like you said, if they are threatened, they can deflate and suck themselves all the way into the hole that they live in. And it takes a long time, so I'm not sure why that's effective, but it is. And like I said, these are not very well studied animals because they live at the absolute bottom of the ocean, and humans can't go to a lot of the habitats where they live, but some live in higher elevations, or not at higher depths, I think is the word. Higher depths, which allow where humans can go to with special equipment. And yeah, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
It's a giant quill, a potentially 6-foot-long quill pen anchored to the bottom of the ocean floor that is actually made up of several little jellyfish things stuck together.
How would you like to be like, all right, we're all gonna get together, we're gonna make a sea pen. Jerry, you're the peduncle. You're gonna have no tentacles.
I'm always the peduncle.
And you're gonna anchor to you're gonna have to hold on to the sand. You're gonna have to hold on to sand.
And they're like, Jerry, stop complaining.
It's an honor.
But Jerry, really, he is always the peduncle. And I don't support Nigerian bullying. Yeah. So that was the Sean Penn. If for you out there in Podcastia, anchor yourself in the sand. Work on your Euclidean reflection geometry, and remember that the pen is mightier than the swordfish here in life, death, and taxonomy.
Hey Taxonomy Titans, thanks for listening to the episode. Just a few quick things. As always, reviews and social media engagement are greatly appreciated, but recommending the podcast to friends is the best way to help us grow. If you'd like some LDT flavored merch, check out teespring.com/stores/taxonomy-teas. That's it. Thanks for listening all the way to the end.
Life, Death, and Taxonomy is my favorite in the world podcast.
The pen is mightier than the swordfish indeed.
Not really. I feel like a swordfish could definitely take on a sea pen. But if a swordfish ever went to where a sea pen lives, then the sea pen would win.